In this video, we're looking at the language, the notation, and the conventions of angles. So we're going to start off with the basics and then progress as we go forward. So the first thing we need to recognize is what a point is. Now, a point just represents some sort of position. So on your screen, you can see that we have 3 points there. We have C, B, and A. All right, they're all points. Now, an interval, which is the next thing, connects 2 points. It's essentially the line. Now, if you have multiple intervals, such as the 2 green lines, they form what we call an angle between them. So that's the angle, and then the corner point is what we call the vertex. So there's a lot going on there. A point is essentially the dot. An interval is the line connecting the dots. The angle sits between 2 intervals, and the vertex is where 2 intervals meet, that corner point. Now we're going to cover a bunch of different types of angles. So some of these you may know, some of these you may not know. So we have acute angles, which are less than 90 degrees. So it could be 63 degrees, it could be 12 degrees. They're all what we call acute angles. The next one is what we call a right angle, which is exactly 90 degrees, and it's represented with that little square down in the corner rather than a part of a circle or curve. Then we have obtuse angles, which are greater than 90 but less than 180, so things like 163, 124, those type of things. We then have a straight angle. Now, a straight angle is 180 degrees. It forms a straight line. A reflex is greater than 180 but less than 360, so 242, 331, they're all reflex angles. And lastly, we have a revolution, which is exactly 360. It's a full circle. Now, when we're looking at multiple angles, we have things called complementary angles. Now, these are 2 angles that add up to give 90. So in this part here, you can see that we have a right angle there. In the corner, it's a square, so it indicates 90 degrees. And then we have A and B, where A and plus B needs to add up to 90. So usually you'll see examples or questions like this. Find the value of x or some sort of a pronumeral. In our case, we have x and 27. So what we need to do is we need to go, well, I know that x plus 27 needs to equal 90. So what you could do here is you could use an algebra skill that you may or may not know. But what that means is, well, if we have a plus 27 there, what I'm going to do is take away 27 from both sides. And then I end up with x equaling 63, because those 27s cancel out. But essentially you're just taking away the other part. So 90 take away 27 was 63, so that has to be 63. So supplementary angles are now where we have angles that add up to 180 degrees. So it's the same kind of thing. If you're given 2 angles, you would subtract one from 180 to find out what the other is. The next type of angle we have is angles at a point. So all these angles here add up to a 360. So when you have all of them joining together like that, they need to add up to 360. And you can use that to find unknowns as well. And lastly, we have vertically opposite angles. So if you have 2 lines crossing like that, the opposite angles are the same. So as you can see, this x here and this x here, they would be the same. Then if you have this circle up here and this circle here, they would be the same. So if we had 2 lines like that, and this was 36, this would also be 36. Which means this needs to be 144, and this needs to be 144, because all of those together add up to 360.